Why did Putin apologize to Azerbaijan's President Aliyev over the plane incident in Russian airspace, despite the external interference reportedly caused by Ukrainian drone attacks? Was this apology a gesture of diplomacy, an acknowledgement of Russia's air defense response, or part of a broader strategic relations between Russia and Azerbaijan? What's the reason behind the crash of the Azerbaijani flight in Kazakhstan? As per Azerbaijani probe, they are blaming Russia for this. Can you explain what's the perpetrator? Who is the perpetrator behind this? As I find hard to believe that Russia would be involved, considering they have reasonably good ties with Azerbaijan and Russia has strong influence there, as it was a former Soviet republic. Okay, so a couple of days ago, a few days ago, this past week, a plane crashed in Kazakhstan. Shall we go to the map? Let's go to the map and find what happened. Where's the map? Let's put that on the map briefly. So where did this happen? It happened. So the aircraft took off. Not sure where it took off from. Maybe from Baku, and it was going somewhere in Russia, maybe Grozny or somewhere. I don't remember quite where, but it was supposed to go to its destination, and then it made a detour and went to Aktau in Kazakhstan. And there's an airport outside of Aktau where this aircraft sadly crash landed. It was not able to land on the runway. It crashed near the runway, and yeah, that's what happened. Now, if you look at the video and images, if you look at the video and if you look at the images of this crashed plane, and you will see that on the fuselage, near the tail section, around the tail section, there are lots of holes, and those holes are caused by shrapnel. Shrapnel is fragments of metal that come out of an exploding bomb or device. So clearly, this aircraft took a missile strike. It was struck by a missile, an anti-aircraft missile most likely. And how do these anti-aircraft missiles, many of these anti-aircraft missiles work? Many of these anti-aircraft missiles, they don't go and impact the plane head on. Once they reach a certain distance from the plane, a proximity fuse is activated and the warhead of the missile detonates close to the plane, but it doesn't impact the plane. And when this warhead detonates, it releases a very large quantity of shrapnel, pieces of metal that riddle the plane with holes and severe. And these pieces of shrapnel, they sever the hydraulic lines and whatnot. So it makes the plane impossible to control and operate, or difficult to operate and control. And it basically breaches the cabin. The air pressure drops, and all kinds of terrible things happen. It can breach the fuel tanks and drain the plane of fuel very rapidly, or cause a fire. All sorts of catastrophic things can happen. So this plane was hit by a missile. That much is clear. And then it went towards the Kazakhstani city of Aktau, tried to land there. And the video shows the plane struggling to land, making 2 or 3 turns, trying to find a way of landing, but clearly, and one of the survivors said that they heard a loud bang outside the aircraft, and after the bang, the plane started behaving like it was drunk. So it was not under control of the pilots, and eventually it crashed. And unfortunately, several people have died, and thankfully, some people survived as well. Now, that's what happened. That's the context. Now, President Putin has spoken with Azerbaijan's President Aliyev, and he has apologized in the context of this plane crash. Why would Mr. Putin apologize? So he has not taken the blame. He has not admitted in so many words that Russia shot the plane down, but he has apologized. And he said that Russian air defense systems were operational in the area at this time. So the bigger context is that at this time, if you go back to the map once again, at this time in this region, Ukraine, it is being claimed by the Russians that Ukrainian drones were at that time hitting the Russian cities of Vladikavkaz, Grozny, and maybe 1 or 2 more cities. So these are unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, drones, pretty large drones that look like Cessna aircraft and similarly sized, or somewhat smaller in size, and they can drop bombs from the sky, and they are hard to detect, and they don't carry any pilots. And they were in the process of attacking various Russian cities, civilian centers in the region, which is why Russian air defenses were operational. And in comes an aircraft, and the Russian air defenses take it out. So it looks like that's what happened. And that's why it looks like Mr. Putin apologized to President Aliyev of Azerbaijan without explicitly stating that Russia is responsible for this plane crash. So that's what happens in situations, in conflict zones, in war zones, and which is why it makes sense for civilian aircraft to stay away from this region as far as possible, the Ukraine region and the surrounding region. We also a few years ago had a Malaysian Airlines crash in this region, and that too was shot down by uh, a surface to air missile. And both sides, Ukraine as well as Russia, have blamed the other for that. We don't quite know who is behind it. The West has blamed Russia for it.